Welcome back to Storiesz 13, your home for eerie tales that keep you up at night. Tonight, we're diving into a chilling story about unexplained typing sounds coming from a computer that shouldn't even be on. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and dim the light. Things are about to get strange. The soft glow of the laptop screen illuminated Daniel's face as he sat alone in his dimly lit apartment. The freelance writer had grown accustomed to the solitude, finding comfort in the rhythmic tapping of keys as he poured his thoughts onto digital pages. Little did he know, his trusted companion was about to become a conduit for something far more sinister. It began on a quiet Tuesday night. Daniel had just finished a particularly grueling writing session and shut down his laptop, eager to catch a few hours of sleep before dawn. As he drifted off, a faint sound tickled the edges of his consciousness. Tap, 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 like raindrops on a window pane, but sharper, more deliberate. He dismissed it as the settling of pipes or a neighbor's late-night activities, but the sound persisted night after night, always when the apartment was at its quietest, always when Daniel was on the cusp of sleep. Tap, tap, tap. It was only when he jolted awake one evening, heart racing, that he realized the sound was coming from his desk, from his laptop, his powered-down, closed laptop. With trembling hands, Daniel approached the device. The lid was shut tight, the power light dark, yet the tapping continued, muffled but unmistakable. He took a deep breath and lifted the screen. The document that greeted him sent a chill down his spine. It was filled with words he had never written, sentences that flowed with an eerie familiarity. As his eyes scanned the text, Daniel's blood ran cold. These were his thoughts, his deepest fears and insecurities laid bare on the digital page. Things he had never dared to speak aloud, let alone type. "How is this possible?" he whispered, scrolling through page after page of intimate revelations. The laptop had become a mirror to his soul, reflecting back the darkest corners of his mind. Over the next few days, Daniel found himself trapped in a waking nightmare. The typing grew louder, more insistent. It no longer waited for the cover of night, instead punctuating his waking hours with its incessant rhythm. He tried to ignore it, to lose himself in work or mindless television, but the tapping always found a way to pierce through his distractions. And then, one afternoon, as he sat staring at the blank screen of a new writing project, words began to appear. Letter by letter, a message formed before his eyes. "Don't ignore me, Daniel." Panic seized him. He slammed the laptop shut and backed away, his breath coming in ragged gasps. But even through the closed lid, he could hear it. Tap, 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 tap. The typing continued, relentless and mocking. Desperate for answers, Daniel began to research the laptop's history. He had purchased it secondhand from a local pawn shop, drawn in by its vintage charm and affordable price tag. Now, that decision haunted him. After days of digging and countless phone calls, he uncovered a chilling detail. The laptop's previous owner had vanished without a trace nearly a year ago. As he absorbed this information, sitting in the eerie quiet of his apartment, the laptop sprang to life once more. The screen flickered, and a new message appeared. "You're just like him." Daniel's mind reeled. Was he following in the footsteps of the missing owner? Was this some sort of curse, passed from one unsuspecting writer to another? He couldn't shake the feeling that he was being watched, judged by an unseen presence that knew his every thought. In a fit of desperation, Daniel decided to rid himself of the cursed machine. He drove to a remote area outside the city, laptop tucked securely in a bag. With all his strength, he hurled it into a deep ravine, watching as it disappeared into the shadows below. A wave of relief washed over him as he drove home, convinced he had broken free from the nightmare. But as he pushed open the door to his apartment, his heart sank. There, on his desk, sat the laptop, pristine and unmarked, as if it had never left. The screen glowed softly in the dim room, a cursor blinking expectantly. Daniel approached slowly, drawn by a morbid curiosity he couldn't suppress. As he neared, words began to form on the screen, each letter appearing with a soft, menacing tap. "Now it's your turn to write." The cursor continued to blink, waiting. Daniel's fingers hovered over the keys, trembling. He knew he should run, should smash the infernal machine to pieces. But a part of him, a dark, buried part that he had always tried to ignore, felt a thrill of excitement. What stories lay hidden within this digital Pandora's box? What truths could he uncover about himself and the world around him? The possibilities were endless, terrifying, and intoxicating. With a deep breath, Daniel placed his fingers on the keys. The room fell silent, save for the soft hum of the laptop. And then, slowly at first, but with growing confidence, he began to type. Tap, tap, tap. The words flowed from his fingers, dark and beautiful. Stories of shadows and whispers, of things that lurk just beyond the edge of perception. He wrote of the previous owner, of the countless others who had fallen under the laptop's spell. He wrote of the entity that lived within its circuits, hungry for stories and souls. Days blended into nights, and still Daniel wrote. His eyes grew sunken, his skin pale, but he couldn't stop. The stories demanded to be told, and he was merely the conduit. In time, the laptop fell silent. No more mysterious typing, no more unbidden messages. But Daniel hardly noticed. He had become one with the machine, his thoughts and the entities indistinguishable. And somewhere, in a small pawn shop in another city, a young writer examined a vintage laptop with interest. "It's perfect," she said, handing over her money. "I can't wait to start writing." The shopkeeper smiled as he wrapped up the purchase. "I'm sure you'll create some wonderful stories with it," he said. The previous owner was quite the talented writer, from what I hear. As the young woman left the shop, laptop tucked under her arm, a soft sound could be heard emanating from the bag. Tap, 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 tap. The cycle began anew. Another unsuspecting soul drawn into the web of words and whispers. And in a small apartment across the country, Daniel's fingers continued to fly across the keys, weaving tales of horror and wonder. The entity was pleased. The stories would continue, passed from one writer to another, forever seeking new minds to explore, new fears to exploit. The laptop hummed softly, a quiet promise of inspiration and terror. And in the silence of the night, if one listened closely, they might hear the faint sound of typing, even when all the computers were turned off. Tap, 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 tap. If you made it to the end, thank you for listening to this unsettling tale. Don't forget to subscribe for more creepy stories like this one, posted regularly. Until next time, keep one eye open and never ignore the sound of keys typing in the dark.